the fans have all just about made their way out of the OVO Arena here in Wembley as Dillian Whyte beats Jermaine Franklin by majority decision. Scores of 116, 112 twice, and 115, 115. Andy Lee, Mike Costello does a fantastic job on commentary. Mike, I'm going to come to you straight away first. Scorecards, 116, 112 twice, 115. When you heard 115, 115, what was going through your mind?
Strangely, I thought you could agree with both scorecards, and I know 2 of the cards had him winning by 8 rounds to 4, but some of those rounds were so difficult to score in terms of the body punches landed by Dillian Whyte and the head shots, and also the body shots landed by Jermaine Franklin. I actually wouldn't argue with any of those scorecards, but going into that last round, I did feel, sitting there at ringside, that round might be crucial because of the nature of how the contest had gone. But also it felt to me at times, David Hay was saying in commentary, we're expecting Dillian Whyte to take control second half of the fight, but maybe it was one of those occasions when a boxer found himself up against 2 opponents, and one of them was the old fella called Father Time, and tonight he turned up, I think, in front of Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, every time you expect Dillian Whyte to go through the gears, you're watching it thinking, okay, Dillian Whyte's going to go through the gears here. He didn't. It's almost like he had an issue with the clutch, right? He never went through those gears. Or I guess you could go the other way and say every time he went through the gears, Jermaine Franklin responded and landed a couple as well.
But the fight, the way they both went for it was like whoever let their hands go or put their punches together was having success, but neither could sustain much, whether it was fatigue or smothering their work, or not having the correct footwork to go with the punches. A sloppy performance, but I did feel he just won it, and I think the big finish cemented that he won the decision.
How far, sorry to cut across you, how far is this Dillian away from the Dillian that we saw against Chisora the second time, Joseph Parker, Oscar Rivas, Elenius? Does that guy still exist?
I don't know. As I said, when you work with a new coach and you're learning new things, as I said, it highlights all the things that you did wrong before, and then you're second guessing yourself, especially when you're coming into a fight. You're in that transition phase from one style to the next, and you're kind of in no man's land altogether. So you don't have the confidence to do what you used to do before, and you haven't fully got what you're trying to do with the coach. So I think it's, when you're with a new coach, it's always dangerous as well. It takes at least 2 years before you can get that full instinct. The style becomes an instinct. So with that and taking that to mind, I can see that's why he fought it that way, Dillian Whyte. But when you've been knocked out with uppercuts, and all the time he's been knocked out has been shots that he didn't see coming. It's not like got hit with a big hard punch and he just couldn't stand up to it. It was like tricky little shots where he used to have defensive picking shots. Someone would jab and he'd pick shots, and then he'd leave himself exposed and someone would hit him with a punch he didn't see. And I think he was conscious of that as well in there. A lot of doubts, and I think he was happy to see the final battle as well, as much as Franklin was.
Yeah, and I think looking at that as a first fight under the guidance of Buddy McGirt, and Andy, might say with his work with Joseph Parker and others that there might be improvement to come, but I'm struggling with that because you've mentioned the knockouts, savage knockouts, 3 of them. But aside from that, the 2 fights against Derek Chisora, the fight against Joseph Parker, the fight against Oscar Rivas, another hard night hit, and there's a lot of hard nights in that back catalogue. And I'm struggling to believe that there's a better Dillian Whyte to come.
I asked Andy and David at the end of the show, and I said, okay, after that performance, or even just the catalogue of performances recently, whether or not Dillian Whyte's still at the top table of the heavyweight division, is he still an elite heavyweight? Andy said no, David said yes. What do you say?
I think you have to say genuinely, and not being facetious, how wide is the top table? If you're talking about Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, and yes, I'd put Joshua there as well, I don't think he belongs there. I understand how they can build the rematch against Anthony Joshua because what happened last time around and the chance that he might pin one on him at some stage. But after that performance there tonight, it's going to take a lot of selling. Yeah,
it's a difficult sell, isn't it? Nathan Gorman, Fabio Wardley, fantastic fight, even though it was only a few rounds for the British vacant heavyweight title. Nathan Gorman seemed to start the fight so well. There was a guy screaming ringside saying, white collar boxer, white collar boxer. And it almost seemed to spur on Wardley when he got hit. I think Andy mentioned every time Wardley gets hit, he almost doesn't revert into a shell, gets angry and starts throwing punches. That's what he done, didn't he? He just started throwing punches and something landed, and once he lands, you know he can punch.
And it's a peculiar trait because it's happened at very low levels as well against an American called Dan Mars.
Yeah.
Who is he? I don't know who the guy is, and he's been here and gone, and I've done the homework and I still don't know who he is, and yet he troubled Wardley just briefly, but Eric Molina hit him hard
Troubled him
before
as well,
he himself got knocked out. So as Andy was saying on the live show, you know, it's a welcome trait to have, but you know, as he moves up in grade, he might not get the chance to come back.
Yeah, he might, right? We saw big Fraser Clark ringside. He's massive, by the way. And he wants the opportunity. There's others as well, David Adelaide. There's others that want the opportunity for the British title. It's going to be an exciting fight. We don't know if he's going to go all the way. European, Commonwealths, maybe even Fringe Worlds. But it's exciting to watch Fabio Wardley.
Yeah, and he's got a pleasing style. And he goes for knockouts, which, like, we had a long night here, but when he knocked him out, the whole place lit up.
Yeah.
You know, it just changed the atmosphere in the whole room. So, and that's what you come to fights to see.
Yeah, indeed we do. A quick word on Sandy Ryan as well. She wants Chantel Cameron. We probably didn't see enough to warrant that next, but win number 5 for Sandy Ryan, and that's all you can do, right? Keep building on these performances.
And the difficulty is, if it's not Chantel Cameron next,
who is it?
Who is it? Because as Eddie Hearn said at the press conference here, the best female amateurs move through the pro ranks so quickly that they very quickly run out of opposition, and that's happened already to Sandy Ryan.
Certainly do. Mike Costello, thank you very much. Andy Lee, thank you very much. Interesting night, I think it's fair to say, at the Over Arena. Fabio Wardley definitely lit the place up. Dillian Whyte, not so, but a win's a win, and he stays in the picture for big heavyweight fights in 2023. Stick with us next week. A big fight from Glendale, Arizona. One of the biggest trilogies of this generation finally comes to an end. Juan Francisco Estrada versus Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. That's next on DAZN. From all of us here, have a fantastic evening. We'll see you next week.